Tonight. So in the weeks leading up to last Friday's same-sex marriage vote, there was a lot of political pressure put on the Senate Republicans. State Conservative Party Chairman Mike Long pledged to unendorse any GOP member who voted in favor of the bill. That's a very daunting prospect to a handful of lawmakers for whom Row C provided the margin of victory in 2012. Now, my next guest may have given them a little bit of cover. Frank Mackay is the head of the State Independence Party, and he personally endorsed the passage of gay marriage in the weeks leading up to the vote, although unlike the Conservatives, he does not plan to use this issue as an endorsement litmus test. Chairman, thanks very much for joining us from Hofstra today. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Liz. Good.
Good, good. Okay, let's talk about this first. How exactly did you come to decide that you needed to weigh in on the gay marriage argument?
Well, first of all, it was close. I think it was a close prospect of whether it was going to pass or not.
Right.
And when people reached out to me, ironically, it was Republicans who reached out to me and a couple of folks that I've been close with over the years. And quite frankly, they said, look, we could really use your help on this. And I said, certainly the party doesn't take a stance on it, but I completely agree with the issue of marriage equality, and I wanted to do whatever I could to help.
So who exactly reached out? Not Andrew Cuomo, you're saying, not the governor, but Republicans. Which Republicans?
Well, I'll let everyone speak for themselves. I'm a big proponent on people speaking for themselves, but I think people behind the scenes that did want this to pass, and I think there are a lot of those folks. There are a lot of folks that aren't publicly in favor of this, but there are people who really wanted to get this on the table, get this on the floor, and see it pass.
Interesting.
And certainly Senator Bruno was someone I had a great number of conversations with about this, and I thought he made a lot of sense.
Yeah, and that's really interesting. He played a very big role behind the scenes, I'm understanding at this point. I know that he was close to you, but also close to Roy McDonald, whose seat, he now holds Bruno's old seat. Just how influential do you believe Bruno was in this process?
Well, first of all, Senator Bruno's a very talented political mind, and he has a great feel for this, and who knows the Senate process better than Senator Bruno.
True.
I mean, certainly, that being said, again, I'm going to let each man and woman speak for themselves. But as far as Roy McDonald goes, I know when he originally came out for, well, let me rephrase that, right?
Yeah.
Especially in this context.
Perhaps not the best choice of words.
Right.
Go ahead.
When Senator McDonald came out in favor of marriage equality, I thought it was a very real moment, and maybe the most real moment in this debate and in this process, because I don't think it was planned. I think a reporter had asked him about it, and I think his conscience just told him, yes, I'm going to vote in favor of this. And I know I was surprised to hear that. Not that I thought he wasn't going to vote for it, but I was surprised that he came out, and there was so much pressure being put on all of the senators that were going to either consider it or vote in favor of it. So I thought it was a courageous move by Roy McDonald.
Yeah, he used some very strong language, which I think surprised a lot of us. He basically was like, expletive this job. If this puts my job in jeopardy, I don't need the job. The pressure that you talk of has to do with the Conservative Party line, and the idea might be that you and your party would be able to make up the difference. The problem with that theory is that 3 of the 4 Republicans who voted yes all had your line the last time around, so you can't give them anything they didn't have, with the exception of Mark Grisanti, according to the records that I checked. So how's this going to work exactly?
Well, first of all, you hit it on the head when you said that this isn't a litmus test. No single issue, especially a social issue, is a litmus test for us, the Independence Party. This is me personally supporting this, and when I came up to Albany, well, quite a bit in the last week or two, I really was there to support people that are our friends, senators that we saw on the same side, and some that weren't on the same side of this. But I think my letter of my sentiment on this was helpful to those who did ultimately vote for it, because at least someone in the minor party field if you pardon the expression, was supportive of their actions.
Yeah.
But again, you're correct in saying it wasn't a litmus test.
Yeah, I mean, for example, let's look at some of the numbers. I mean, in the case of Jim Alisi, who it looks like he's definitely going to lose that Conservative Party line. He was actually in trouble with his own GOP party in Monroe County. He received 3,914 votes on the independence line, on your line, and 7,900 votes on the conservative line. I mean, do you believe that if he only has the independence line and not the conservative line, you can make up the difference somehow? Where are these conservatives are going to actually vote on the independence line?
I don't know about that, but next year is a presidential year.
True.
And I think a lot of Democrats, hardline Democrats, are going to look at these four individuals, these four men, and say, you know what? They voted their conscience on this. They voted for the issue rather than sticking with, general conservative platform issues. And I think a lot of Democrats are going to cross the line. And I think we're a safe haven for those Dems and those voters that consider themselves independents to vote for these gentlemen. And next year is a very different year. It's like I said, it's a presidential year, and I think you're going to see a tremendous amount of vote come to these folks.
Do you imagine that the Independence Party will be able to back Senator Grisanti?
I'm with Senator Grisanti 100%. I think he was fantastic on this issue. His stance was certainly much different than Roy McDonald's. He's an attorney, and he said, look, I've looked at this every which way I can legally, and I can't see any legal way to not support this. And this is coming from a former altar boy, I found out, and I'm in that category as well. I was an altar boy down at St. Cyril and Methodius Church in Deer Park, and Grisanti was as well up in his neck of the woods. And I'm sure he battled with this, and the religious aspects certainly had to play a role in the conflict.
Chairman.
But as far as Senator... Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. We're going to run out of time. I want to ask you a few key questions as well before we don't have any time left. Your party is a little bit under a cloud, or has been. I mean, did you do this in hopes of buffing your image? I mean, you're still fighting this lawsuit situation, or not a lawsuit actually. It's a criminal trial down in New York City. A GOP operative is accused of stealing money that was given to you, close to $1 million, by Mayor Bloomberg. Now, I know you can't talk about it because it's ongoing and legal, but are you trying to improve your image by doing this?
Well, let me just correct you on something. I don't think we're under a criminal investigation.
You are not. No, you are not.
No.
You're involved.
Let's
correct.
Just make that,
yep.
Let's make that clear. And I'm sure we'll be called by one side or the other to be a witness in that, and I very much look forward to that. I don't see that as being a cloud. And quite frankly, I appreciate you bringing it up, because I haven't thought about it in a long time, to be honest with you. And
so
no,
sorry,
it had
Chairman.
nothing,
forgive me.
No. I'm teasing. But it certainly had nothing to do with marriage equality. This is something that I think is life-changing for millions and millions of people. I think New York is going to be a catalyst for other states to follow this. And quite frankly, I think a lot of us wanted to be on the same side as history and do the right thing here. This is a tremendous day in history. And certainly, I mean, as far as clouds go or anything, I certainly didn't look at it like that. I don't think anybody else did. It's just a very close issue, and we got it done. Yeah,
you're a very big supporter of Andrew Cuomo's. Obviously, the Independence Party backed him in 2010. You also are a big supporter of Mayor Bloomberg's until this situation happened down in the city. And you actually touted Mayor Bloomberg for president, actually, at one point as an independent candidate. Now Andrew Cuomo's being mentioned for president. What's your feeling on that? Do you think he's presidential material? Would you back him?
Listen, no question is he presidential material, but you said I used to be a supporter of Mayor Bloomberg's. I'm a complete supporter of Mayor Bloomberg.
Okay.
I think Mayor Bloomberg should be president. If there's one person in this world that I could handpick to be president of the United States, which of course I can't, and certainly doesn't sound like he wants the job, it would be Mayor Bloomberg. But as far as Andrew Cuomo goes, I can't imagine a governor, I can't imagine any public official having a better political start to his career than what Andrew Cuomo has had. And if he is not on a short list of candidates, men and women, to succeed President Obama for the Democratic line, I can't imagine who would be. He's had a tremendous victory, and last Friday on the marriage equality vote just brought it to a head. Andrew Cuomo has had an absolute fantastic start to his governorship.
So have you spoken at all to the governor about any interest he might have in running in 2016?
No, absolutely not. I just, and I've spoken to him a couple of times since the historic vote, and it just, just small talk and congratulatory response from me to him. Just a fantastic start to his gubernatorial career, that's for sure. But as far as presidential goes, I mean, that's, again, I'm a big proponent of all men speaking for themselves. He's going to have to speak for that.
Yes, he has indeed, and he doesn't want to talk about it. But we will, I'm sure we will keep talking about it nonetheless. I want to thank you very much, Chairman Frank Mackay, for joining us from down on Long Island. Please have a good holiday weekend.
Thanks, Liz. Thanks a lot.
Be well.